So we're going to press play on the Scooby Doo Blu-ray in 3, 2, 1, play. All right, this is the Prison Wallet. So
Prison Wallet.
Do commentaries for movies, and due to massive fan request, we're like, Scooby Doo. Everybody wants Scooby Doo. They won't shut up about Scooby Doo. When are you guys going to do Scooby Doo? Greatest movie of 2002, Scooby Doo.
I don't remember it going like that at all. Actually, I think I suggested it, and we just sort of thought, well, it's disposable and
we are
quirky and fun, but you know,
because we're trying out a new sound thing that seems like it's fine, but it's like, let's do Scooby Doo just in case. Because even though it's obviously a modern day classic, if something goes horribly wrong and we lose Scooby Doo somehow, we'll survive. So we're just putting on some subtitles. I was a little surprised, actually, to learn how big of a fan you are of the 2002 Scooby-Doo film starring Sarah Michelle Gellar and
Matthew Lillard. And
Matthew Lillard really is good. He is really
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be the slight imbalance here. Is like, I like this movie, but I don't love this movie. I kind of get the feeling you love this movie.
I think I like it a little bit more than I should, to be honest. I mean, I do like it, but I don't know. I think there's, and we also have a history with this movie as well, because we need to tell this story about when we tried unsuccessfully to go see this fucking movie 3 times in the theater, and we didn't get in once.
This was an extremely successful movie. Like, the movie from this era that I always think of is Josie and the Pussycats. It's my personal favorite early 2000s remake of a cartoon, but it was a huge failure. It made no money. It was the people that did Can't Hardly Wait, and I think they never made another movie again because it did so bad. Where on the other hand, this movie was so fucking successful that we were from Fredericton, New Brunswick. It's only one movie theater, and I think it was only playing in one theater, right? In one screen.
I don't know if the second one was still running at that time. I don't think so, but it was playing at the one movie theater. And we tried literally 3 times to go see this fucking movie, and it was sold out every single motherfucking time. So we ended up having to go see the first, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man with what's his name in it?
Yeah,
Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, which was whatever. It was okay, but I mean, this movie, it did good. It's just weird. Like, what I like about this movie is, it's like the most perfect movie of what was going on in 2002. Like, look at the CG on Scooby-Doo. He looks fucking terrible. He looks like shit. But they still felt confident enough in CGI at that point that they're like, yeah, but we'll put him in every scene in the whole movie. We'll make a whole movie with a CGI dog that looks fucking shitty.
I didn't think he looked that bad.
He looks so bad. Well, I mean, we'll see as we go through, I guess. We can, what I mean, I guess, is before this, CGI was just really bad. Before the 2000s, it was not realistic to use it for a whole movie. And nowadays, CGI is so good that you can't tell sometimes. Like, I've been tricked before where I'm like, holy shit, that was CGI? No one's getting tricked in 2002.
Like, that's very clearly a TV screen in that fucking barrel where Matthew Lillard as Shaggy and Scooby are trapped in the barrel, and they're skateboarding successfully. Like, fucking...
Yeah, it's like Tony Hawk 2, the refinery level.
Yeah.
But nobody's gonna... I guess it's a weird thing to say because Scooby-Doo is obviously a cartoonish character. They're not trying to make him realistic. But nobody's going to say, wow, it really seemed like Scooby-Doo was really there acting with these people. It looks super fake.
Look at how close Scooby's asshole is to Daphne's fucking head.
Yeah. So, it was... So, I don't know. I mean, we'll just bring this up because why not? What we had back in the day... This was it's weird to think that this was before podcasts, but a really old website in 2000 and 2001, I guess into 2002, because that's when this came out, where we did little audio recording, reviews of movies after we got out of movies. And back then, they had to be 4 minutes long, and they're on Angel Fire sites and stuff. We were so far ahead of the curve with podcasting that it didn't work. It was too ahead of the curve. But yeah, we were trying to go see this movie, and we could not.
And that's when Pamela Anderson still looked sort of like a human.
Yeah, sort of. But yeah, so I guess that's where our...
That's in between beatdowns from Tommy Lee.
Hey man, if I had a fucking boyfriend with a cock that big, I'd let him slap me around.
What?
Yeah, I mean... Is that weird? You don't feel that way?
Oh man, that's so good.
But I guess that's where our paths crossed or diverted, right? Because like, yeah, we never got a chance to see this movie together in the theater. I don't even know when I saw it. I must have just seen it when it finally came out on DVD, because I never saw it in the theater. So did you actually see it in the theater?
No, I didn't get to see it in the movie theater. What happened was I had these two kids, and it was a great excuse for me to buy the DVD. Like the day it came out, I went out and I'm like, I don't remember what else I was buying. I think Spider-Man and Scooby Doo came out the same day, and I'm like, I'm here buying Spider-Man. Oh, look, Scooby-Doo. I'll buy that for the kids. Yeah.
When you say it like that, that does make sense. That like this is a really good, like, if you've got to watch a movie with your damn kids, like this movie is entertaining. Like it's definitely one of those like meant for adults type of movies.
I really like it. I mean, it holds up very well and has some great fucking lines in it too, like some really great scenes, like the one where Scooby gets the call while he's at the restaurant or whatever, and the guy's like, is there a Mr. Doo here? And Scooby goes to the phone, he's like, hello? And the guy on the other end's like, yeah, I got a bag of hamburgers for you. And Scooby's like, okay. He just goes like,
well, even just dumb shit like watch the ascot. Like they are definitely, it's like I guess meta you could say, but like that referential to the show or whatever. Like I'm not sure when that kind of happened, because nowadays like meta type comedy is super common, but it was kind of newish back then, of like the idea that we're all kind of winking and nodding about Scooby Doo, like that was kind of like novel. I mean, they kind of did that a bit before with like the Brady Bunch movies and stuff, where it's like, let's not just remake it, let's kind of sort of wink and a nod remake it.
And let's talk about the casting for a minute here, because I mean, the casting was actually really great with one exception.
Are you going to say Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we were talking about this just when we were texting about this movie, just like late at night texting each other about Scooby-Doo. But yeah, Sarah Michelle Gellar, I've never been a fan of. And like, I'm a real big Buffy fan. I love Buffy, but I always felt like the whole rest of the cast was supporting her. And it's the same thing here, right? It's like, she's not terrible, but she's definitely the worst one.
Yeah, she's not the star of the show, in my opinion, even though they definitely brought her because she was just coming off of Buffy and, whatever. But Matthew Lillard is the scene stealer in this movie for sure. Like, he is perfect.
I guess I should look for my notes. I had this idea that for these commentaries, I would start digging through, it's just IMDb trivia and Wikipedia, nothing you couldn't find out. But I was like, that might be interesting to throw in. But my idea is I'm going to wait till we get to like halfway into the movie before I go to my notes and just. But what I learned from that shit though is Matthew Lillard did such a good job that he was the voice of Shaggy for everything for a while after this, like all the cartoons and video games and shit.
Yeah, absolutely. He was until they decided they're going to make another Scooby-Doo. I almost said Spider-Man. They're going to do another Scooby-Doo, like either TV series or movie or something. And everyone's all up in arms because they didn't hire Matthew Lillard.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, they should have fucking hired Matthew Lillard. Like, that guy's great.
He's one of those dudes too, like when I think back, I haven't really seen him in that many things, but I just always liked him. Like, I guess the big one is obviously Scream, but also, did you ever see SLC Punk?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it's like one of those movies I don't even really remember the movie that much, but I remember he was in it and I liked him. He's just good.
I like how they're in the van, they're fucking eating food that they're making on like a little hibachi oven or whatever in the back, so it looks like smoke's coming out of the ceiling, like the old stereotype.
Well, that's one thing I was surprised about is apparently James Gunn wrote this or wrote one of the drafts or something.
Yeah, he wrote it.
And because one of the little trivia dealies I found was he was talking about how they meant for this to be more adult even, and they kind of had to reel it back a little to be more kid-friendly.
Oh, that's too bad.
Well, I'm surprised because this is still, like, yeah, there's so many weed references and stuff. Like, I'm like, you guys took them out? Like, how could you take them out? They're fucking everywhere still. But I think it could almost be a good thing because I have this, like, theory about comedy that, like, sometimes something like Powerpuff Girls or something, it seems super, super funny, or SpongeBob, because it's supposed to be for kids, so it makes every time they make a dirty joke way better. And I feel like that this movie might have benefited from that too. Like, the idea that they brought it down to be more of a kids movie makes all those references seem better. Where if they were really just trying to make some kind of like hard R Scooby-Doo, I don't think they were ever trying to do that, but it kind of wouldn't be as funny. Or it's like, did you ever see when Ren and Stimpy came back?
I fucking hated Ren and Stimpy.
Well, you really would have hated it after, because like originally what made Ren and Stimpy cool was it was like for kids, but it was all like weird and subversive, right? But Spike TV gave him enough money to make like 6 more episodes, but with no more censorship, and it was fucking terrible.
Really?
Yeah, like like Ren and Stimpy were literally making jokes about I'm the pitcher, you're the catcher, we're gay, we live together and we fuck each other. And I'm like, this is not
I think I actually would have watched that.
It was called Ren and Stimpy's Adult Cartoon Party. And it was just like, this isn't clever anymore. It's just about 2 animals eating each other's jizz. Yeah. Just like but it really didn't work. Like, I really do think there's something about when you take something that's supposed to be for kids and you just like, you know, slide in stuff, it makes it even better.
Yeah, so Sarah Michelle Gellar, I actually liked Buffy. I thought she did a really good job in Buffy, but I mean, whatever.
Mostly I'd say with Buffy, like, she was perfect in season 1 when Buffy was just a dumb cheerleader who got caught up in all this stuff. But the more the show went on and the more like I'm supposed to take her seriously as like an empowered woman, I'm like, nah, come on.
Yeah.
It's like the show evolved and she didn't, kind of thing.
Linda Cardellini, who played Velma, she was also in a movie called Grandma's Boy that I fucking love. That's such a good movie.
And she was the lead in Freaks and Geeks. Classic.
Yeah, she was good. But here's the thing. I mean, I'm not one of these people that kind of leers at women, even like whatever. I just don't. I'm not that guy. But Linda Cardellini as Velma is infinitely better looking and more attractive than Sarah Michelle Gellar's Daphne, and the characters aren't supposed to be like that.
Right. Well, I mean, they've kind of gotten that way almost, though, now in the weird era of internet cartoon porn. There's way more porn of Velma. But originally, yeah.
But originally, you know, you had Daphne, who was like the pretty redhead or whatever, wearing the form-fitting stuff, and then frumpy Velma, you know, like whatever.
Who was that? Is that fucking Blink-182? Who was that cameo that just went by?
Probably.
Yeah, 2002.
Sugar Ray's in this movie, like...
You just jogged my memory. I guess I did see this in the theater, because now I remember me and Matt saw it, and yeah, I remember after the
Fuck
movie.
both you and Matt.
Because the only thing I really remember is after the movie, Matt's girlfriend at the time was with us, and we were both like, holy shit, right, Velma? Whoa, like even in the sweater. But then later in the movie, when she switches to like a slightly more like low cut sweater, it's still like a sweater, and we were just like, that's all we were talking about. And I remember his girlfriend being like, it's just how like if you don't have testosterone, like chicks just don't think of things like we do. Where we were just obsessed with how hot she was, and Matt's girlfriend was like, I don't get it. She was a chick in a sweater. What's the big deal? And we were just like, you don't get it. We were like 22, just super horn dogs.
And there's Isla Fisher, famously married to Borat in real life.
What else is she in? Should I know her from something?
She was in Wedding Crashers. Remember the crazy bitch in Wedding Crashers? She's like, I'm gonna find you, like that girl.
Yeah, I feel like maybe she just looks really different with blonde hair. Like I'm on the verge of knowing who she is.
Yeah, she's been in a bunch of shit, but you know, she probably isn't even remembered for this.
Right.
To be honest.
But yeah, speaking of Velma and her form-fitting sweater and like this chick and stuff, like this movie, especially rewatching it to get ready for this, I was like, dude, there is like a definite undercurrent of super sexy shit going on in this movie. Like everyone is way too hot, way hotter than they need to be. There was even a scene that went by earlier where just like a chick in the background walked by with just huge tits for no reason. But then when I read about the James Gunn stuff, that all kind of made sense, where he was saying like how they were going for the harder rating originally, that apparently they actually CG'd in clothing to cover up people's cleavage in this movie.
What the fuck? Really?
That's what James Gunn claims. Yeah, so I mean, we'll have to keep our eyes peeled for it. But and I wasn't too surprised when I read that, because this is like everyone's weirdly hot for a kids movie. You know, it's like, it feels like this was made in Mexico or something. Like, you know, like when you see Mexican news ladies and stuff, and they're just like, look how hot we are. That's what this feels like.
Oh man.
Or Russia. Like I had a layover. I was stuck in the Russian airport for like 48 hours or 24 hours or whatever on my little travels this year. And like Russian TV is ridiculous. It's just like chicks in thongs with like their fucking crotch in front of the camera and just some weird, well, I mean, it's like a music video. It wasn't to the news, but but it's like, yeah, way more. We're just so puritanical and stuff in North America that there's definitely something in this movie that's a little more. I mean, I'm obviously just a crazy pervert too, that I'm thinking this about Scooby Doo, but I totally noticed it. Like, this movie is speaking to perverts, is what I'm trying to say. Everyone's a little too hot, and everything's just a little too...
Well, except for Mr. Bean, he's not hot.
I mean, that's probably the hottest Mr. Bean has ever dressed and stuff, though, right? He's got cool hair, and he's got... I don't know.
And then also there's Freddie Prinze Jr., who, I mean, ends up marrying Sarah Michelle Gellar in real life. I mean, he plays an incredibly fucking vapid fuckbag in this movie, but he does it well. Like, you know, like the whole teamwork. I do a lot of teamwork. Like, that's fucking gold. I love that shit.
Yeah, like Matthew Lillard is the MVP, but I think Fred kind of has the best lines in this movie. Like, because he really does play that up the whole time of just like his weird fucking obliviousness. And it's nice that it calls back to that weird cartoon. Like what the fuck was that cartoon? These kids he's wearing his little ascot and he's running this little gang. Come on, gang, let's go stop.
Don't tell me for 2 seconds you wouldn't wear a fucking ascot if I gave you one. I'd be like, here, wear this fucking ascot. And you'd be like, maybe it might get me some juicy dicks.
Well, even just like, okay, see these people lined up and like that chick's got a really short midriff showing shirt. Yeah. Like none of it's like major. But just everywhere throughout this movie, everyone is wearing 30% less clothes than they normally would in a kid's movie. I don't know. Oh, look at this dude's hair. That is 2002. That is perfect.
Look at that. Back off my grill, son. And fucking chuck some.
But yeah, Freddie Prinze Jr., he's one of those dudes. I also think he's a bad actor. Like, it's kind of funny that him and Sarah Michelle Gellar got married because they're comparable actors. But he's still like a guy I've always liked, even though he's really never any good.
He still had a career though. Like he doesn't do very much acting wise, but he does a lot of voice stuff. Like he does Star Wars cartoons.
And he had one of my favorite lines of all time in She's All That, the Rachel Lee Cook movie.
I remember that shit.
Yeah, where he was supposed to have a date with Rachel Lee Cook, and she blew him off because she doesn't understand what's going on, because of course it's a weird bet and whatever. I'm sure everyone is familiar with that film. But he's like, hey, where were you last night or whatever? And she's like, I was busy. And he goes, busy wigging. And, and that is one of the best things I've
Did you say heard. Busy wigging?
Busy wigging, yeah. I never forgot that line. Anytime someone's busy, they're fucking busy wigging.
I like how Velma's such a fucking cunt too, in a way, because like, you know, they're on Spooky Island, there's all this shit and it looks like fucking projected or whatever, and she's like, yeah, there's projections, there's projectors, they're like there and there, and the guy's like, fuck, like just defeated.
Yeah, I really do think this is a great commentary movie, because yeah, we're like 20 minutes in and we haven't even talked about the movie at all yet. So the way they set up this movie, it was kind of cool, because it's like basically like everybody knows, well, that's where it also is definitely aimed at the generation that already knows Scooby Doo more than like kids or whatever, because they start off with like, yeah, you know, all those Scooby Doo cartoons and all that bullshit, it's over, like we're breaking up the team, fuck this. So yeah, Freddie Prinze Jr., I told Ray this anecdote earlier, so I'll just say it real quick, that a weird thing about him is that he was a writer for WWE. He was a writer for wrestling, and it's just weird. Do you know David Arquette? I feel like he sort of fits with this whole group or whatever.
Well, he did a movie based about wrestling called Ready to Rumble. Ready
to Rumble, total piece of shit. And to promote Ready to Rumble, he actually won the WCW belt.
What a load of shit.
Yeah, it's one of those things like that right before that company went out of business, they always point to that. They're like, oh yeah, fucking David Arquette was the champ. No wonder they went out of business or whatever. So last year, David Arquette, because he is a legit wrestling fan, he fucking was tired of like this albatross around his neck of wrestling fans making fun of him for being the least deserving champ of all time. He got back into wrestling, And these David Arquette matches are fucking insane.
Is he good?
No, but he's willing to bleed everywhere. Like, they're the craziest hardcore matches you could ever imagine.
Really?
Yeah, so if you're ever bored sometime, just Google David Arquette Wrestling 2018 and you'll see some shit, my friend.
I imagine his ex-wife, what the fuck's her name, Monica from Friends, is really impressed with that, to save him putting his personal safety on the line, what with having a couple of kids and all.
Yeah, I think it's probably not coincidental that, it's not till they got divorced that he could get back into wrestling. And I don't know that he still does it much these days, but it was a big news story for a while of just like, hey, you remember David Arquette?
Well, this is the part. Hello, I got a bag of hamburgers here for you. Just walk into the dark, shadowy part of the forest.
God damn, just look at the nightmare factory that is this Scooby Doo. Like, I don't know, I really am off-put by this CGI. Like, he aggressively doesn't look like he's...
I don't mind it, but he doesn't have any balls at all, or a wiener, and he's a male dog.
Do you think that's one of the things they changed? Like how everyone was so mad about Sonic the Hedgehog that they had to redo the CGI? Maybe in the...
Maybe he's got a dick.
Yeah, like the earlier, like, more PG-13 version of this movie.
Maybe he's got a Sonic the Hedgehog spiky pubic hair dick, and it has to hang behind him while he runs.
Yeah, big swinging dog cock. So maybe that's why the CG's a little weird. It's like, we got to fix the CG, but we don't have a lot of time. We got to get rid of that.
They should have left the wiener like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, when Shaggy and Scooby and the rest of the gang are there, and fucking Scooby's got the red rocket going.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I haven't seen that in a long time. What year? That was after this, right? Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back?
No, man. That was before this. This movie came out...
Oh, yeah. It was close, though, right? It was like 2001 to 2002 type of shit.
Something like that. Yeah, it came out in 2001, I think.
Because, yeah, that is kind of weird. Like, it's sort of similar. Like, Kevin Smith's joke version of this is kind of what this whole movie is. It's like, let's just take that same idea and kind of stretch it out of just, like... Now, plot-wise... like, I just watched this like last week, but so okay, the mystery, the gang used to solve mysteries, and then they got tired of each other and all their bullshit, so they split up. So a year later, they got invited to the opening of this mysterious mystery island.
Spooky Island, man.
Right.
Fucking you! I haven't watched this in fucking 5 years.
Yeah, but before that, you watched it 100 times.
That's true.
So that's the idea, right? Is that they're just supposed to help promote, like, oh, come help solve the mystery, but like it's a promotional thing. But now they're finding out.
I don't even know what the actual mystery is, to be honest, because they just get to the island and there's no real fucking mystery. It's just they get to the island because they're asked to go, and basically they've been duped there by fucking Scrappy-Doo.
Yeah, well, they definitely notice that kids are being, like, what is the deal with the kids? Like, kids are being hypnotized into being soldiers or something?
The kids are being inhabited by these weird demon thingies.
Yeah, right, that are trying to learn how to act like teens. Yeah, because they're all fucked up and they say things weird. So presumably this island of possessed teens would be like some army to attack the world.
I can't say anything because I'd be lured by a bag that had a sign over it that said hamburgers too. Oh, and this is the first time we see one of these monsters.
Whew, pretty rough. Like, I don't know, it'd be interesting to...
It's a fucking kids movie, though.
Yeah, I guess I've gotten so used to how good CGI is now that, like, I haven't really watched a lot of movies from this era, and especially not movies that are this heavy on CGI. Like, this thing has got shitloads of CGI. It'd just be an interesting, like, I'd like somebody to make a YouTube compilation of, like, year by year. Like, let's see how CGI improved.
I genuinely like this. I can't help it.
So yeah, at this point, there's legit demons and stuff. Big, horrible monster things that are clearly real. It's not just, like, an old man with a mask on. Although it is partially that. Oh yeah, that's Yonan Vasquez or whatever, the fucking dude who did Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. Like, that's like based on one of his characters. I saw that in the IMDb trivia, but I didn't remember what scene it was. But that's where
interesting.
It is. Yeah, like, I mean, you can definitely tell that there's like this James Gunn connection. Like, there's weird subversive shit going on in this movie.
It amazes me though that this is a kids movie and the shirts are the skirts. The skirts are as short as they are, and the tops are as low cut as they are.
Yeah, like I wonder what with his talking about like CGIing out cleavage, because they sure didn't with with old Daphne there. But
Well, they had to probably CGI cleavage on her. She's not very top heavy.
yeah, exactly. I'm gonna definitely see what's going on when Linda Cardellini comes. I know, because I remember her second outfit. I just remember, even at the time, I was like, wow, that's hot. But maybe that was the one. We'll see.
No, I think that was in the second movie. You're talking about the leather one?
I don't know, maybe. She does change outfits in this, but it's like subtle. It's not very different, but it's enough that I had a raging erection and jizzed in the movie theater. Man, it must be tough to act against a not Scooby Doo. Matthew Lillard really is, like, he's the best in this movie. He's so good.
Yeah, hands down, he's the best in this fucking movie.
There's really nothing he did wrong. He fucking nailed it. He kind of looks like the Casey Kasem voice he does is so good. So that's another little trivia thing I read. Also, just the fact that I'm remembering the trivia, I'll just blow it now. All my big plans of like, I'm gonna wait till I'm halfway through the movie and pull out my notes. Like, what the fuck? Who cares? We'll just talk. But he said how he kind of got into that Scooby voice or Shaggy voice is he tried to blow out his own voice. Like, he just yelled a bunch till he got a raspy voice, and it worked. But he realized, like, I can't do that on set every day. Eventually, I'm just going to lose my voice entirely. That's fucking bullshit. So this is how amazing of a, like, method actor or whatever Matthew Lillard is. So he blew out his voice by screaming a bunch, and hey, so it was all raspy. And then while his voice was like that, he just kind of, like, listened to himself and, like, self-examined what his voice was doing and how it sounded so that he could do it with his normal voice after that.
That's fucked up.
He's a genius. He's a fucking genius. Let's just say it. Matthew Lillard is the best.
I've seen, actually, he's been in the news online a little bit lately because he has a sign that he puts up when he does conventions saying, like, you know, little kids or disabled kids will cut in front. Like, that's always going to be allowed.
Yeah, I think I saw that. I think I saw you, like, retweet it because somebody complained. Like,
yeah.
Oh, fuck. What the fuck?
So I watched some of the videos, though, of him interacting with people, and man, he is the nicest fucking guy to the people that do, like, that go to these conventions. Like, he got right out, you know, this one girl was shy and whatever, and he went right over to her and started talking in a Shaggy voice, and, you know, gave her a free picture and, you know, whatever. Like, people don't do that shit nowadays. Like,
man, isn't that weird too? Like, you never really know where an actor's going to end up. Like, it's not like he was the most famous person in the world, but he was pretty well known in the late 90s and early 2000s. But really, he's Shaggy now.
yeah.
Like, but that's kind of cool too. Is like that, like, the new generation actually gives a shit about him because he's Shaggy, and, like, yeah, fuck it. That really is kind of the best career trajectory. Like, you want to eventually end up in some kind of Disney type cartoon kid shit so that you can just have a job forever and just be famous to a whole new group.
I wish I could read these fucking subtitles with the cats in front of them.
Yeah. That's another thing that is a little tricky about doing commentaries is like, yeah, this movie's got a lot of clever lines and shit, but it's hard to pay attention to.
I forgot that this movie has midgets. I'm all over that too.
Yeah.
I mean, little people. No, I mean midgets.
That is one of those things where it's like, obviously, you know, when people are trying to be politically correct, it gets real annoying real fast. But that one was the first time that I really questioned, like, is little people better than midget? Because I think it's way worse. Like, it sounds way worse to me. I don't know how midget's even supposed to be offensive.
Like, this little bit that just happened where she, like, kicks the door open and then she's so impressed with it that she does one of these stupid little shaky dances. I'm like, really? Like, you just get done saying you're a fucking black belt. You should expect that you can do that and not be doing a stupid little dance that a tween would do.
It is weird. They push that real hard on her character in this of, like, I'm tired of being the damsel in distress. You know, I want to be the person to solve the crimes and to look after myself and to be empowered. But we weren't yet at the point in society where she really was. She's still a fucking idiot. Because I feel like nowadays they wouldn't make jokes about it. Like, she legitimately would just be like, I'm empowered and I'm a woman and this isn't funny at all.
It's like, have you seen the last Avengers movie yet?
Oh, that one scene where it's just all the female characters. Isn't it like, yeah, I'd be embarrassed if I was a woman that's supposed to empower me.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm all for women's empowerment. I really am. Like, I'm very much pro-woman. I've said it a million times. But that scene seemed so forced that it made it look lame. It totally discredited every single one of those characters.
I totally agree. And it's so set up of just like, they're just suddenly in the middle of this enormous chaotic battle.
And all those women are all together, standing in the same spot in their little poses. And, you know, the total girl power one-liner, like, I mean, it couldn't have been any more fucking lame if, well, obviously they wrote it. It was lame. It was fucking stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. I totally felt the same thing. And it's like, yeah, like, all I can do is imagine if I was a chick who was wishing to be empowered. And if that worked on me, I'd be embarrassed about myself. You know, that you can't see how pandering that is and just how... Like, if anyone really gave a shit, they would put a little more effort in.
If all those characters came from different angles, different places, and they all ended up in a central location fighting together, that would have been one way to go about it. Yeah. But to be so, you know, this is the girl power moment. Yay, all the women are together, attack. Like,
it's way better to just treat... Well, that's what I love. I love that story from Alien, that none of the characters had genders assigned to them in the script, and that's why Ellen Ripley is so awesome, because she was just Ripley, and they presumed she was going to be a man. So her character rules because they didn't write her as a woman, and that's what you got to do. Like, just treat the female characters like characters. Don't like put a big sign around their neck that's like, we're strong. Like, that's the opposite of what...
Exactly. I completely agree. But yeah, did you say that you saw that, or did you not see that?
I just recently, I finally watched it. Yeah, and I think we're gonna do a podcast about that too.
Top tens. Yeah. Top tens, yeah. Our very first actual... No, it's not. We did one before, a top 10 one. But this is going to be sort of a regular feature that we kind of get into.
We did an official top 10 before. I think I just called it that so that it would have a catchy title. Because, you know, it was close enough to 10. So that's a weird thing, too. So, yeah, this was the exact same era as the Josie and the Pussycats movie. And it has a really similar plot. How, you know, this is like the training film to try to teach them how to be normal or whatever. It's kind of... Well, basically what happens in Josie and the Pussycats is there's subliminal... stuff in the songs that brainwashes kids to go buy stuff, and in this they're kind of like brainwashing the teens to be demon warriors. It's a little similar.
No, big whoop dog, catch that new vid on the box. True that, I'm up to shiznuff on all popular trends. Word.
Yes, that's one thing I do really like about this movie, is it really does feel like when they wrote it, they were more concerned about just having fun writing it. Like, let's just write a fun movie and not...
And I mean, again, I'm a fan of the movie, so I like it. So I don't have to make excuses for it. But I think I like it because of that. You know, it's funny. It's just a fun fucking movie. You don't have to take everything so seriously all the time.
So how did you feel about Scooby Doo the cartoon when you were young, and were you into it?
Oh man, the original?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I loved it. I think honestly, and this is I don't think I've ever said this to anyone before. Daphne, I think, was my first TV crush.
Oh, nice.
You know, I mean, as a 5 or whatever year old kid.
I really do think, too, I mean, again, I'm just coming at this from the angle of a super pervert, where, like, apparently to me, this is the sexiest movie ever made. But, and I mean, when did Scooby-Doo, I've got it written down somewhere, I'll get to it, but the Scooby-Doo cartoon was, I guess, the 70s?
No, the 60s, man.
60s? Yeah, geez, that's way back. But especially by the 80s, holy fucking shit. Every cartoon chick was so hot. Fucking April O'Neil and all the He-Man characters and all
Tila
this fucking shit. Yeah.
Evelyn and the Baroness.
And I feel like at least we got at that good era where at least our sexy cartoon characters were...
This is so good.
...were human beings. Oh, is this the fart battle?
Yeah, man.
All right, so yeah, let me tell you about this. So this is exactly where I was watching this movie, And I was like, this is a pretty clever movie. Like, I'm pretty impressed. There's a lot of like funny lines in this and a lot of shit that like I forgot that this movie was as clever as it is. And then the fart battle happens, and it is not brief. It's like 2 fucking minutes long. And it's just like they really go for it. Like, I'll give them that. They don't half-ass this thing.
I like that last fart comes out into a little squeak.
I mean, isn't that, though, that's like the most cartoony part of this whole movie. Nobody can fart that much. That's insane how much they just farted. It took me out of it.
That's your problem with it, not the cartoony looking demons. That's not what took you out of it, but a 2-minute long fart scene.
But see, that's another thing.
And I beg to differ, by the way, because a little bit of personal info here. I have to wear a CPAP machine every night. Like, I've got sleep apnea. It's real bad. Right. So they consider severe any more than, I believe it's 50 instances where you stop breathing while you're sleeping at night.
Right.
And I was like, no, I think it's 20 or 25 times, if I remember correctly. It was a while before when I was diagnosed. So say 20, 25 times, they consider that extreme. And I stop like 155 times an hour. Like, so now I'm down to like 1.5 to 3 using this fucking mask. But there are some nights where it pumps so much fucking air into me that I wake up like full of air the next day, and there's only one way to fucking get rid of it, and it's like continuous, like that sort of farting, like non-stop. And it's like, it's gotta be, without exaggeration, like probably a half hour, 40 minutes worth of farting. It's just terrible.
I don't want to get too weird on this podcast, but you actually just answered. That it's just terrible. I was gonna say, does it kind of rule?
No, the first time I thought I had another, because I had a kidney stone a while back, and I thought I had another kidney stone. That's how much it hurt. Like, I was doubled over. It was very painful. It was like, sharp fucking pains. And then I'm like, oh man, I think I might have to go to the hospital, that sort of thing. Like, I took the day out, like I called work, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not coming in. And then I got off the phone with him and let out like a couple of giant, huge fucking farts, and it started to feel better. I'm like, you're kidding.
Man. I mean, I guess that's a shame too that it's taken away the joy of like, man, farting's great. It's the greatest.
Oh no, it's still awesome, because now that I know what it is, I get up and I'm like, ha ha ha, rip, 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 rip. Sometimes it starts before I even wake up. I wake myself up farting real loud. It's pretty amazing. So I love that machine.
There's this guy, I can't remember his name. He's a Japanese cartoonist. He did this comic called Uzumaki. It was this famous comic that was all about. Yeah, sorry, what?
Miyamoto?
No, it's this guy. He does just horror comics, and I can't think of his name. But he did one about like insane gas, where people get infected with this thing where they just can't stop farting, and eventually they die, but their corpses are still creating tons of just like the bacteria, and they end up basically, they're like they inflate and they're floating around and they're spewing out from their ass and their mouth like all this poison. It's fucking crazy. I wish I could remember what it was called.
It is fucked up.
Yeah. It kind of made me think of that. But yeah, sleep apnea, man, that's bad shit. There's this video game website, Giant Bomb, and one of the guys had sleep apnea and he died. He
fucking died?
Yeah, I mean, he was really overweight, and he was supposed to have his machine, but he was on vacation. He didn't have it, and yeah, he died.
What would you gauge my weight at? How if you had to take a guess at a number, what would you figure?
I don't know. It's tough because, like, yeah, I've been like 140 pounds my whole life. I never changed. I was born that. But I'd say you're double me. So what's that come to? 280? That'd be my guess.
Well, I was at 280 a while ago, so I'm about 260 right now. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm a big guy, but it's as far as the farting goes, it's just funny, because big guy, big fart,
Right. So yeah, I was gonna say too. That's what I love too about like looking at movies from different eras or whatever. Oh, I gotta say I did love this too. I did not expect, because I forgot all about this movie, the Scrappy-Doo thing.
Where he pisses on her?
Yeah, I didn't realize that he's in it at all. Like, I forgot that he was the main villain and stuff. But
Oh, yeah.
when this scene happened, because I love that they are like, man, fuck Scrappy-Doo. Because he was...
Look at him. He just gives Daphne a golden shower, and all she can say is, "Oh God, he's peeing on me." I had to pick that fucking dog up and chucked it out the window.
But I love that too. Like, that's like, you know, they came at this movie from a good angle because everybody hated Scrappy-Doo. So I like that. Yeah, and when they were writing it, they're just like, let's all just admit that this thing fucking sucks. Because it's like that joke.
Look, you don't have the scrote for this job, he said.
It's like that Poochie joke from The Simpsons. I mean, that's basically what they're talking about. Is just like adding in the new character Scrappy-Doo bullshit.
You don't have the scrote for this job. Like, that's fucking awesome.
But yeah, as far as the super fart scene in this, like, I love looking at the different eras of movies and stuff where this kind of was like the peak of, there was like a wave of gross out stuff happening where I always think of like Van Wilder, where they make the dude eat the bulldog jizz.
All the puff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like movies just always had super gross shit in them around this time. And I feel like Not Another Teen Movie kind of put the nail in the coffin where they just had an actual fucking toilet, like just spray shit on everybody for like a few minutes.
I don't fucking remember that.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't one of the greater scenes in the movie. It just was indicative of the time. It's like every movie has a gross out scene, so let's do it. And this is like great proof of that too, that even a kid's movie has 2 minutes of farting in it. Like it's weird because it just kind of doesn't happen anymore. But in the early 2000s, every movie had gross out jokes, like totally. And yeah, so it's like, so Mr. Bean, he's not actually, that's just Scrappy-Doo in a robot, right?
That's right.
But there is an actual Mr. Bean guy who's not a bad guy.
Right, yeah.
Tied up somewhere. Okay, I think I'm up to speed on the plot. Oh yeah, so the other thing that totally, we can't hear it so much because we don't have the sound up loud, but the other thing when I was watching this recently that just puts it in its place and time so clearly is the fucking soundtrack. This is the most early 2000s soundtrack I could ever imagine.
Is it?
Yeah, just like everything is just kind of a fucking like kind of soft rap style groovy jam. Like every fucking
Like Sugar Ray and Outkast and
yeah, and it's all just like, I guess it's hard.
Blink 182, I think.
Yeah, although I don't even know if they have an actual song in this. Like it's real heavy on like rap music, but really toothless, you know, just like a little kid movie soundtrack.
Like you almost expect that "Get What You Give" song to be in this fucking movie. I hate that fucking song. That one, and there's another one, "Steal My Sunshine" by I think Len.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that song so bad.
I hate Get What You Give more, but I get the Len hate as well. It's like, yeah, it's pretty bad. Wow, look how bad that looks. Fucking.
It looked like he fisted him and fucking dragged him through the boards.
Like, it's so weird that, like, I mean, I couldn't personally make better special effects than this, but there's those, like, YouTube channels of just guys that do special effects stuff, you know, like their own superhero shit.
Yeah.
And it's better than this. Like, that's how crazy technology has gotten. That people on YouTube can do better shit than this. But yeah, it was weird to hear that Outkast song. I forgot that Outkast was on this soundtrack.
That "In the Land of a Million Drums" one?
Yeah, because that was that's another weird thing. Just, you know, from our advanced age, being able to look back, like Outkast was so big. They were crazy big. They were so big that like I loved that song "Bombs Over Baghdad" so much that I went to the mall and bought that CD. And I'm not like a hip hop dude, but I bought.
You a fucking child?
And then I bought the one after that too, the double album. And it just seemed like they were the biggest band ever. Everybody knew who they were. And they basically just kind of quit. One of the guys quit. The other guy keeps going. But nowadays, people don't know Outkast. Like when they do
Really?
like Teens React or whatever.
I feel like I'm saying "really" a lot because it just seems like so ridiculous.
Yeah, and yeah, they're just gone. And I don't know, I guess the lesson there is even if you're the biggest band in the world, you can't just quit and expect to still be famous
It's sort of like
in 15 years.
LMFAO. Like they had 2 or 3 like really solid fucking big charted tracks, and then they're like, yeah, we're done here. Like, we did something, and now we don't need to do it, and we got that fucking motherfucking movie check. And
in a way, though, I mean, it's probably the best way to go, I guess. Like, just to accept, like, your time in the sun and your era and just let it go. but it's weird to me of how, I don't know, I guess it's not that weird. Like, there's all these, like, fucking 80s bands and shit that I didn't know because I only got into music in the 90s, and, like, of course the new generation isn't going to know the old shit, but I'm always surprised how fast everyone forgets. It's just weird to me.
I still hate the Tragically Hip, and I'm still very glad that Gord Downey fucking choked a big cock all the way to hell.
Yeah, I decided to leave that in that episode because I was like, wow, this is offensive for no reason. I'm going to leave it in. That's our style. How far are we into this? We're probably about halfway, right?
I don't fucking know, man. What do I look like, a scorekeeper?
Let me get my shit. I'll tell you what fantastic facts I learned about this movie. Oh, except my phone reset.
So we're at 45.
Perfect. 45. As soon as my phone boots up. See, that's where I was thinking. Again, I'm probably just overthinking this whole process, because if we just talk about nothing, who cares, and just blab about farting, it's fine.
Yeah, we barely talked about this fucking movie.
Yeah. That's what it is. It is so hard to, like, that's another thing I find hard about doing commentaries is it's hard to focus on the dialogue and what's actually happening while you're talking. It's like I got a sort of respect for, like, YouTube gamers or whatever, like people that talk while they play, because, like, they always get, people will comment like, fuck, you suck at this game, I can't believe how much you're dying. But they're dying because they're trying to do an entertaining fucking thing and blabbing to each other while they play. It's similar. It's fucking hard, bro. It's a good evil face on that guy.
That wasn't too bad. You almost take it seriously for a minute, like, oh, that guy's scarier than the fucking big demon things.
So, did you ever watch the sequel to this?
I did, yeah.
How does it hold up?
It's awful.
So it's like what this, like, sort of should have been or whatever, or what we would have expected this to be? Just like a bad movie?
It was like the thing that they should have... How can I explain it? So, all of the big monsters from the original cartoon series way back in the day were in this sequel. Like, all of them. And they shouldn't have been. They should have... They could have easily done a movie with 1 or 2 of these motherfuckers in it. And, you know, they probably could have stretched out this series real good. And it would have been entertaining. The CGI would have got a bit better. And, you know, because the CGI doesn't look bad in this movie. Even Scooby looks a little improved.
All right, so here's my big facts. You ready for this?
All right, let's dig in.
So part of the, this movie being a little more aged up when they were first making it is there was a scene where, you know, when they get their souls get... Oh, there is a Sugar Ray performance in this movie.
Yeah.
It's fucking Mark McGrath. Let me just sidetrack the Sugar Ray for a second.
But wait, that motherfucker's got great cheekbones.
He sure does. You know what? Fucking Sugar Ray, that band bums me out a lot because... The first time I heard them was this song Mean Machine.
And it was metal.
It's awesome, right?
Yeah.
Mean Machine, Mean Machine. My dad said, sonny, don't drive when you're drinking. So good. And then they because I guess what they did, that was like their second album. That was the kind of band that they were. But every album they would do one just goof off, jerk off, you know, silly fake reggae song. And the one they did on their second album was that I Just Wanna Fly. And it became such a huge hit that they just changed their whole band to be that band now. And it's like, you fucking assholes, you used to be good.
I remember working at the pizza place, Bostonian, back in, now in New England Pizza, back in 1998. And, of course, your kitchen staff. So you're in the back, there's a radio going. So you were constantly hearing this song, Getting Jiggy With It, Britney Spears, Nowhere to Lie, like... TLC, like all this shit all the time.
I remember when I worked at the porn store in Vancouver, it was right before I found podcasts, so I was listening to the radio, And it was like a rock station, so it wasn't so bad. But there would still be like, it was the time when that Weezer song Beverly Hills was out.
I don't know that song.
It sucks dicks. Beverly Hills.
Oh, okay.
That's
I know
where
that
I
fucking
want to
song.
be. Like, I like Weezer, but that's a bad Weezer song. And they played it like you're not supposed to listen to radio for 8 hours because they're just programming it for people driving to work.
Right.
So you hear that one song like 8 or 9 times. I wanted to fucking kill myself.
But if you had killed yourself, then we wouldn't have this podcast.
Yeah, everything else would be the same. But this podcast would be way worse. It would still be you just talking, but there's no answer.
Yeah.
Like you're just talking.
It'd be like watching or reading an episode of Garfield without Garfield.
Yeah. My favorite thing of that, though, it's even better, I think, but it never got as popular, is there's a guy who he just takes out Garfield's thought bubbles, but he leaves Garfield in. So it is just John talking to his...
Yeah, he looks insane.
Yeah, and it's like, it's even more sad. Because when he talks to nobody, he seems crazy. But when he's just talking to his actual cat, it's like, what a loser.
Or even if you take it like, I've seen... Yeah, I like Garfield without Garfield, because there's no cat there. It's just John, and all of a sudden, he looks fucking... He does something stupid.
All right, let me get back to... Here's my factoids. So yeah, when the earlier version of this movie, when they were trying to make it a little less kidified... So that part where their souls get in the wrong bodies.
Yeah.
So they had a scene in order for Velma and Daphne to switch their souls back. They kissed, and they did film it, and they didn't put it in. And I'm like, son of a bitch.
That's not even in the special features.
Yeah, I could go for that, but Sarah Michelle Gellar is like, yeah, we filmed that, but
But there was in the special features for the DVD, Daphne or Velma in a bikini, like dancing in a sauna.
Interesting. You have those? This is the Blu-ray, right?
Yeah, no, this is the DVD. I don't think that... I'm not sure what's on the Blu-ray.
Because, yeah, that'd be great. Have you ever seen those guys that they do fan edits where they'll, like, take deleted scenes of movies and reintegrate them into the movie?
No, but that's really cool.
Yeah, someone should do that with this. Yeah, I've only seen that happen. It doesn't happen a lot because I think it's just so hard to distribute the finished product once people have put the shit back in because the copyright claims and stuff. So, I don't know. People don't bother that much. So this has very little to do with the movie, unlike our commentary so far, which has been very much about the movie. But one of the songs in this is just a weird little thing that I learned. The lyrics are like, you remind me of the man. What man? Man with the power. What power? And I was like, that's like that song from Labyrinth. You remind me of the babe, the voodoo hoodoo. It's all that, except it's you remind me of the man. And I'm like, why? What is the connection here? Like, I just had to figure out why both songs had that lyric and like, what the fuck is it? So just for anybody who's ever curious about that song from Labyrinth or from this movie, it's an old ass movie called The Bachelor and the Bobby Soxer with Clark Gable, I think, in it from 1947. And in the movie, he just says, you remind me of the man. And it's like, what man? The man with the power. What power? Power of hoodoo. Anyway, that's where it comes from. I don't even know if that made sense, and it's certainly not interesting. Let's move on to my next little fact. It seemed interesting when I was researching it at the time, but so the score to this movie is by David Newman, and I got to give him a shout out because he just keeps showing up throughout my life of just like a guy who does good scores. Like the first time I heard him was Heathers. He did the Heathers one. He did Bill and Ted. He did Galaxy Quest. He did Serenity, which was the Firefly movie. So all the way from the 80s to the 2010, 2000s, like this guy David Newman just keeps popping up. So thumbs up to you, sir.
Interesting.
You do scores to good movies and to a bunch of shit that I never saw. The name Scooby Doo came from Frank Sinatra, and how he would scat sing. Scooby Doo.
Really?
Yeah, so they're just like, Scooby Doo. It's a cool thing to say in the 60s. Hey. I don't know where Scooby came from.
Did you know that Scooby's actual first name is Scoobert?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, now I do know. That's the value of this. That's why we do this. So the original Scooby Doo, began in 1969, and it was... Oh, shit. We got demons coming out. Oh, that's her. Yes, that's the sexed up outfit. Yeah, check that out. Fuck, that's a hot bitch. I respect your work, Linda Cardellini. Yeah, like I just thought that was so weird too, because I really did know her from Freaks and Geeks, and she was like, her whole thing in that was that she wore her grandpa's army jacket, and she was like She was not wearing cleavagey shirts, basically. So when I saw this movie, I'm like, oh, Linda Cardellini is pretty hot.
I mean, I knew her from this first, to be honest, and then Grandma's Boy, and then I found out she was in a show called Freaks and Geeks that I literally never saw an episode of.
Yeah, and I think Freaks and Geeks, like, it didn't come out on DVD until, like, after this movie. It's kind of weird, too, when I go back to Freaks and Geeks. Like, it was a great show, but it's so fucking depressing. It's trying to be like, here's what high school was really like, let's not just do a bunch of bullshit. And they pull it off, but it's... So, yeah, another one Fuck. So yeah, another one of my amazing super facts is just about the original cartoon. So yeah, it started in 1969, and it was based on, like, I love how everything comes from something earlier, like we just don't know all the lineage. So this was based on, like, radio serials from the 40s, where you'd just be listening to the radio because you didn't have a TV, and they would have, like, it was basically a similar type thing of, like, have some teens go fucking solve a spooky adventure. So they just took that idea and they're like, let's just make it into a cartoon. And it's like, oh yeah, cool. Like, makes sense. Because, like, I was kind of wondering, like, where did this come from? Like, did somebody just come up with Scooby Doo out of nowhere? So this is my last fantastic fact. God, so many hot tits in this movie. Like, Jesus. I think I could, I don't know. I mean, I was just going to say, I think I could jerk off to this movie. And I mean, obviously I could jerk off to anything. But maybe it's probably not as satisfying as I think. Anyway, so the other thing I thought was kind of interesting. So they really did, like, when they made Scooby Doo, it was a total corporate thing. It wasn't anybody's original idea. It was like, let's just rip off something that was popular. So the characters are based on this old TV show called The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis from 1963. They literally just took those characters, put them in Scooby-Doo, and gave them new names. They're like, they'll have the guy with the fancy clothes, and they'll have the fucking weird stoner guy, and they'll have the hipster chick, and they'll have the little mousy girl. And, like, they just took them completely. There was a dog too.
Really?
Yeah. So again,
really?
This you don't say, Chillikers. But what I thought was interesting, so the guy that they based Shaggy on, because obviously Shaggy, even in the cartoon, he's always been the best. Shaggy's like the breakout character, right, or whatever. So he was based on this character Maynard Krebs, who was the first beatnik on TV. It's just like the first character from, like, the new generation of, like, a slovenly teen or whatever. And he was played by Gilligan, by Bob Denver.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, so the guy that they based the Shaggy cartoon on was based on a character that fucking Gilligan played when he was a teen on some old TV show. Isn't that just weird? Like, I never would have connected Shaggy and Gilligan, but they came from the same place. And that concludes this episode's stuff I learned from IMDb trivia / Wikipedia that is of limited interest. Back to the film.
Something, I haven't seen this movie in a few years, like probably 4 or 5 years. But I really don't remember there being as much cleavage as there is in this.
It's hot. It's a hot film.
I don't know about hot. I mean, I'm not looking at it and sexualizing it, but, like...
I am. Big time. Or yeah, like the scene where they switch bodies and, like, right away it's a sex joke. Basically, if there's an opportunity for a sex joke, they take, like, and I respect that. But fuck, that just don't you hate it when you're about to say something and you just forget it? Just forget what it is that you're gonna say. Well, speaking of sex films, did you see the Scooby Doo XXX porn parody?
No, there is one.
Oh yeah, and I just, like, who was the chick who played Velma in that? I can't remember. Bobby Starr, her name was, and I'm not going anywhere with this. Just, you can watch her suck a dick, and she's dressed up like Velma. It's pretty cool. You know what one was actually good? There's a Clerks one. That is like, there? Yeah, that was like,
oh man, like I'm learning so much today. Like, I'm going, like, really?
It was really well done, because it was like, what they did is they gender swapped it. So Dante and Randall were chicks and Jay and Silent Bob were chicks, and then they just go through the kind of rough plot of Clerks with just way more fucking.
I wonder if Kevin Smith knows. Because I bet he'd be right into that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. And it wasn't terrible. It was kind of good.
I mean, I saw a few of them before, like I saw the Star Trek one, and I saw...
Which Star Trek, the original series or Next Gen?
The original.
Because there's a Next Gen one too.
Yeah, no, I saw the original, and I saw the Batman one, like the 66 ripoff.
Oh yeah, right.
I saw that one, and it was like, I mean, I didn't watch them all the way through or anything, but I was just really surprised at the quality of the costumes and the settings and everything. Like, it was pretty well done.
It's true, yeah, they generally do a pretty good job. That was a weird time too of there was a few years there where there was a shit ton of those XXX parodies. I don't know if they do them so much anymore, but they're pretty good, except I think when it started getting a little too far was like a Simpsons one where they paint themselves yellow and they just look fucked up.
I didn't even know there was one. Like, I mean, I don't watch a lot of porn. Like,
or there's an American Dad one where they dress the dude up like the alien, the little gray alien guy, and that's not a good costume. That's bad. And then they tried to kind of paint his dick gray, but you can't really because he's got to fuck with it. Also, it was a pretty poor job. I got to say that one. That was not so great. Man, so I loved Mr. Bean when I was a kid. I loved the show Mr. Bean. It probably still is pretty funny. I just haven't watched it in a long time. But man, the Mr. Bean movie was really shitty. And it's just so weird when that happens, when you've got something that was really good, and then they make a movie and it's just fucking dog shit.
Well, watching Rowan Atkinson in this movie was interesting because it was the first time I had seen him not be like...
Yeah, I saw him here and there. He was in another British show called Blackadder, and he's talked here and again, but it's definitely not what he's known for. It's like there's this comedy troupe called The Whitest Kids You Know that was a really good sketch show, and then they finally got to make a movie, and it was just fucking terrible. It's called Miss March. It was fucking really shitty. Or Mr. Show. Mr. Show was a really good show. Then they made a movie, and it fucking sucked. I don't know why I'm off track now, but it sucks when good things suck. I want someone to quote me on that. It sucks when good things suck.
I like how he just pickpocketed Daphne and stole a fucking Scooby snack from her purse.
So Scooby Snacks, that's one thing I didn't look it up specifically, but they didn't bring them up at all in the wiki article about Scooby Doo or whatever. But was that always a drug reference too? What else could a Scooby Snack be? Besides a stand-in for let's go get high with my dog.
I don't know, but there was dog treats called Scooby Snacks, and I tried one.
How was it?
They weren't good.
Yeah, it's I remember my mom for a while. She was buying that fancy feast type shit for cat food, and I eventually tried some because it looks so good. It looks like real food.
Yeah,
and it's not. It tastes terrible.
The good thing about this is going to be one of those episodes that no one ever listens to.
That's true. Or this kind of reminds me a little bit of our basketball one where it's we're most of the way, we're 2/3 of the way through, and if we kind of run out of steam now, so what? Either people have already bailed out, and if you haven't, if you're listening to this right now, God bless you. But you're in for the long haul. Anyone who hasn't quit listening by now, they're going to listen to the end, even if we lose our minds and have nothing else useful.
I mean, as far as the basketball sort of reference, we were so fucking tired, but at the same time, we were so enveloped in watching that fucking movie that there was a ton of dead space. There hasn't been much dead space with this movie, if any. There's always been someone yammering on about cocks or porn or...
Well, that's where, too, I do think this is kind of just a fun movie to talk about because it does, just pop culturally. It just touches on so much different stuff that is always something you can just leap off and talk about and whatever. Just not at this very moment. Yeah, this was the period, too, I looked up, where it all connects together, that this was Buffy season 6 was while they were filming this, and that's when Buffy was sort of starting to go off the rails too. where they had like the season 5 finale was where Buffy sacrificed herself to save everyone, and it would have been perfect. Could have stopped right there. 5 seasons would have been excellent. But then they got picked up by UPN and did 2 more seasons. And, you know, they're okay, but
I don't remember it too well, to be honest. I remember some of it, but like as soon as they had the underground military society, like I was like, this is stupid.
yeah, that was season 4. That was not great. They really kind of pulled it back together in season 5. Although, speaking of fucking Scrappy-Doo, they kind of did that in Buffy also. In season 5, they're just like, Buffy just had a little sister all of a sudden.
Oh, right, yeah.
But at least you can explain it away, you know, in Buffy land of just like, you know, it's magic and shit or whatever. They pulled it off. It turned out okay. But yeah, after that, so I mean, yeah, like Buffy, to me, and I really didn't like the last season of Buffy. It really went bad. And then I guess after that, Sarah Michelle Gellar had the Grudge movies were pretty famous. And is that kind of it? Like, what did she do after that? She seemed to fizzle out pretty hard.
Who?
Sarah Michelle Gellar. Oh, I get it. Fuck you, bitch. You're not famous anymore. Take that. Probably has to play her fucking self in the porn parodies just so she can pay the bills.
No.
Right?
I don't know what she does, if anything. I mean, I'm sure she does something. She was on... Wait, I think she was on this show with Robin Williams, if I'm not mistaken, before he croaked.
Yeah, I didn't know what he was doing before he died either. Why is Velma back to the real sweater? What was the story with that other outfit?
Who cares?
I guess. That's weird. I just don't remember what happened. Like, why did she dress all sexy for a bit and then she stopped? I don't know. That's weird.
Sarah Michelle Gellar, IMDb.
This really is like a little bit of a excessively complicated plot because, yeah, they've got...
Yeah, I was right. She was on that show, The Crazy Ones, with Robin Williams. Not that anyone gives a fuck.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even know about that. Man, there's definitely a point where, you know, I'm kind of off the grid anyway. My brain is not connected to pop culture as much anymore. But I still mostly kind of know what's going on with movies and with music, but not TV. TV has fucking gotten crazy. There are so many goddamn TV shows. It's just ridiculous.
We don't watch a lot of TV here. We have like Netflix and we have Shudder and we've got Amazon Prime Video, but we don't really sit and watch a whole lot of like stuff that's TV stuff, you know. Although last night I watched the first episode of Creep Show, the TV series that just started.
See, that's a perfect example. Like, I didn't know that was a thing, but yeah, I guess why not?
It was all right. I mean, I'll have to watch another episode to kind of judge whether or not I like it. But I was also, you know, detoxing from fucking nicotine, so I was sort of just uninterested in everything, right?
Yeah, TV, it almost feels like a job. It's like Ash vs. Evil Dead. I watched the first season and I liked it, but I kind of wish they didn't make more seasons because I just don't want to spend the time.
I've got the 3 seasons. I've only watched most of the first one.
Yeah. And I did watch The Boys, like now that The Boys is out, the Garth Ennis thing, because it's only 8 episodes. It was pretty easy to watch. It's pretty good. But man, they did... I guess it's funny that you mentioned like buying this movie when your kids were young, because now that I think about it, I did the last Scooby Doo thing I saw was when I was babysitting my friend Joel's kids, and I was flipping through Netflix, and there was some weird Scooby Doo cartoon that had like John Cena and Rey Mysterio in it or whatever. It was, I think Alberto Del Rio was in it.
Yeah, it was an animated one.
Yeah, just wrestlers.
So let me clarify. When I bought this movie in 2002 on DVD,
it was for you? Not for your kids?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then when I switched to Blu-ray, years later, I purposefully did a search on Amazon and was like, oh, look, there we go. Ordered it for myself, you know, like, fuck. My kids at that point were, you know, older.
Almost not at all into Scooby-Doo anymore.
Oh, 100% not into Scooby-Doo anymore.
See, that CG looks good. The the spectral face zipping around.
What? No, they don't. They look awful.
Really? I feel like it's like that's a good way to use CG of like, let's not focus on it too close. Let's just kind of like it used to be. I mean, I guess if you go way back, like there's like, Terminator 2, say, or The Abyss before that. But Terminator 2 is a good example. Like it had CG that seemed super, super awesome. But when you add it all up, it's like 13 minutes. It's like almost none of the movie actually has any. Where at this point, they just had great big brave balls. They're like, we're not going to work around the CG. We're not going to try to be clever. We're just going to put a big CG dog right in your face for fucking 90 minutes. This is a truly bizarre ending. Like, I did not see this coming at all. Just like, oh yeah, and then we get the fucking like Arkham City ending, right? Where he fucking jacks up and becomes all psycho. What a weird movie.
I like it. I think it's great.
Man, I wish I had the money to make, like even though the XXX parodies, they do a pretty good job with all the costumes and stuff, they don't have a CG budget. But man, I wish I had the CG budget to make a XXX porn parody where super muscular Scrappy-Doo from the end of this movie has sex with everyone, men and women, everybody.
I'm sorry, I tuned out there. What were you saying?
It's good that you did. You didn't want to hear that.
I like that there was a character as well, and his name Melvin Dew.
Oh, look at that. Classic. Scooby Doo, where are you? Invoking the title. Even these dudes, like, that's like some fucking... What was the guy in the Hercules show? Kevin Sorbo type action going on here of like, that is some eye candy.
Wait, who's the eye candy?
That muscular dude who was just fighting with, like I'm saying, they're equal opportunity. Like, any opportunity that they can grease someone up and show some skin in this movie, and they do it. Which I respect.
I wonder if he actually learned how to do any of that shit.
Man, that's one thing that's funny when you watch old Buffy's again. Like, it's not something I ever noticed at the time. But in all the special features and shit, they'll be like, hey, meet the stunt double. And the chick who was Sarah Michelle Gellar's main stunt double has a huge rack. So, like, you can totally see, like, scenes where Buffy's tits are suddenly just giant. And then while she does a backflip,
Why would they do that?
I mean, she's just, I guess, the best one for the job, but...
Man, that's not cool, Isla Fisher.
We're definitely... Sometimes you just gotta... you just know when you hit the point where it's like, you know what? We've said whatever there is to be said. Let's just let this play out.
I wonder if this dude's actually a wrestler, like...
Yeah, because they said he was, like, from Telemundo, right? Like, maybe he is, like a luchador.
That's dirty fighting.
I always thought it was weird, too, just jumping back to Buffy again for a sec. The whole central metaphor of Buffy is really weird to me, because the whole idea was supposed to be, like, women power, right? And, like, instead of being the chick in the horror movie who gets killed, it's like, haha, I'm the Slayer, and now I kill you, or whatever. But doesn't it it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier with Avengers, doesn't it kind of affect the metaphor when you're the strongest person in the world? Like, Buffy wouldn't be empowered and strong if she didn't get magic slayer powers that made her magic and strong. Like, she didn't do anything, is what I'm trying to say. It's not like it came from inside. She just is strong.
Now, my question is, everyone's getting their souls back. All the souls are coming from the pool because of the luchador falling into the pit of them. So, now, remember the scene where the main 4 characters were trying to get their souls back and there was all the mix-ups and switch-ups? What would have happened if this was a real thing and people got back the wrong souls and just kind of went about their business like, oh, fuck, my life sucked anyways, but at least I got this new body?
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be weird. Of like, I could see switching souls with somebody for a while, but I wouldn't. If you were just switched forever, it'd be too. Well, maybe if you switched to a younger person, I'd take that. Yeah, that'd be weird. Like, if you put your soul in like some 10-year-old kid and he gets to be you, and then you get an extra 30 years of life now, and he got boned because he gets to just be you now.
I don't know. I think I'd still just rather be me.
Yeah, mostly I would. Well, like, there is like a thing. It's like a little thought exercise or whatever that they do with people where it's like, if you took your 3 biggest problems, like, I don't know, like in my case, I got scoliosis and fucking ridiculous bladder. I don't know. I don't even think I have a 3rd problem yet. I'm sure something's coming. But say you took your problems, I don't know, insomnia, say, and you put them in a big thing, and everyone in the world did that, and you just could pick out 3 new problems. Most people say they would stick with the problems they have because at least they've learned how to work around them and deal with them, and you never know what you might get. Like, it might be way worse. I might get midget power for someone,
And that'd be infinitely funny because I'd just make fun of you, like, haha, midget.
Man, I saw on the way here actually today. It's like, when you see people with like disabilities, you try not to look, but I had to look a little because it was like a girl with like, one hand that was missing, or like her arm kind of ended after the elbow, little stub thing. That's not so weird. You see that quite a bit. But then the other arm also was like that. And she was just carrying some books and whatever. And it's like, whoa, like you could tell just from the way it looked, like it wasn't an accident. Like she was born like that. And I'm just like, whoa, dude, both hands. That sucks. But she just seemed like she was just walking around Toronto, living her life. Like she just knows how to work it.
I am a terrible, terrible person, and I cannot say on this podcast what my weakness is because it's really bad. It's really insensitive. It's not cool.
Like, what do you mean weakness? Huh?
I have to read.
Yeah, we'll make sure we cut that. People at home can only guess. You can only.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
But even at the end of the day, really, who you hurt?
But I don't make fun of the people with this
affliction
or disability or whatever. I don't purposefully, like, I don't walk up to them and point and laugh and, mock or anything like that. But I just genuinely laugh.
Oh man, it's like one of those things too of just like PC culture is really not in line with how people really feel at all. Like Dave Chappelle in his new stand-up had this awesome thing about like transgender people are super angry at him just because he keeps making jokes about being transgender. They're not even like bad jokes, just that he dares to do it at all, right? And he's like, can you really blame me? Like, you're born in one body and you feel like you should be in the other gender? That's a hilarious predicament. And he's right, it's just like, you got to be able to laugh a bit at your weird thing that happened to you in your life. So I say, as a straight white man who's tall and thin, and fuck you, I'll tell you how it is. I'll tell you how the world is. All right, so the gang has solved the mystery, which, to recap, was Scrappy-Doo is real pissed that he got kicked out of the mystery club back in the day, or the what are they called? The Mystery
Inc.
Oh yeah, Mystery Inc., right? So he got in a robot, and wait though, all those demons and shit, were they real?
Yeah.
How did Scrappy-Doo get... Well, anyway, whatever. I'm sure. I hope you didn't come to this commentary to have it all cleared up for you, because who the fuck knows? Man, that was an easy commentary. Like, that went by fast. But I do think that might have been our least informative.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, there it is. Screenplay by James Gunn.
This is what we're gonna call a fucking giveaway. Like, this is a throwaway episode. Like,
Just us goofing around type bullshit. Yeah, fuck it.
you know, first episode back. You know, we're also gonna do a top 10 episode. I presume we're gonna do that.
Yeah, sure, why not? But and also, wouldn't it be funny though? You're saying like, no one's gonna hear this one anyway. What if this, just for whatever reason, the YouTube algorithm has just been dying for a commentary track to Scooby Doo, and this starts getting recommended to people, and this gets 10,000 views.
If this gets 10,000 views, I will give something rare to my collection away.
That's fair, yeah. But it'd be so many thumbs downs, just so many. Yeah, and there, as our credit. That's always a little weird to me when a movie ends, but it just doesn't end. You know, it's like the credits are rolling, but there's just another scene that immediately happened. I kind of like, though, in a way, like that Marvel started doing like the post-credit scenes and stuff, because it always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Even though credits are usually just credits and you're not missing anything, how as soon as a movie ends, most people in the theater just get up and get the fuck out of there. And I'm like, can't you just soak it in a little?
I like to watch the credits usually.
Yeah, sometimes I don't stay for the whole thing, but I just kind of like to just take a moment to sort of reflect at least on what you saw, you know? Give the movie a little respect. Don't just fucking get up and get the fuck out.
So the credits are rolling. This movie is fucking over.
Yeah, so I guess we'll do our wrap-up.
Yeah, it's wrap-up time, just so that we can kind of get in the practice of doing this while the credits are going about their business. So we'll plug the podcast first. So
Yeah, so we're the Prison Wallets, and if this is your first episode, but you did make it all the way through, it's awesome. Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. You know, you're a fucking trooper. Now go listen to one of our good episodes, like Reanimator, House of a Thousand Corpses, or Sleepaway Camp. Anyway, Prison Wallets. So we're on Twitter and Instagram. So on Twitter, we're at Podcast Prison. On Instagram, we are prison_wallets_pod. And you can also find us at keithcourage.com/prison. And
I'm Keith McNally on Twitter, and I mean, I guess that's it really. I'm just Twitter.
I'm Borahioro77 on Twitter and Instagram. We're very thankful for all the people that are listening to us. It's a really cool thing to see our views go up and all that crap.
But yeah, we're still early days, you know. We're still a fresh fledgling new podcast, just creeping our way up the subscribers very, very slowly. But I mean, with quality output like this, how long can it possibly take before? Oh yeah, look at that. Hong Kong Kung Fu team. So they actually did have some people that knew what they were doing in this movie.
Crazy.
For all the battling. Yeah, like I think that's a good way to kind of sum this movie up, is like they didn't have to try, but they kind of did. Like for everything, they were careful with casting. They wrote a script that was actually funny. Like it's just nice when people give a shit when they don't need to, because it was just a Scooby Doo live action movie. They could have phoned it in, like as you say, the sequel kind of seemed like or whatever. And they didn't, and I respect that.
It was a good enough time that I think that if they had have made it a little bit more adult oriented, I think it would have done a little bit better. To be honest, I think it would have been. I think it would have put a lot more butts in seats. But who knows? I mean, it was good for kids. It's good for adults too, in a way. I guess it's so. Anyway, in summing. We are the Prison Wallets. You'll be able to catch us every 2 weeks on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, and at keithcourage.com/prison. Don't forget to go to keithcourage.com and check out all the other podcasts that go on there, because there's some pretty cool shit that happens there.
Oh, and there's the Dolby Digital, SDDS, DTS. Like, you timed it out so well. We're right at the end. Yeah. Perfect. Unless, is there anything at the very, very end of this?
No, there's not. So we're tuning out. Tune in a couple weeks, and other than that, fuck off. I don't fucking care.
Yeah, this is our tune-up. Our tune-up episode for season 2, and we did it. So go fuck your mom.
Go fuck your mom.